Welcome back. You're watching Daybreak on Rise News, and it's time to take a look at what's making the headlines in the papers this morning. Let's bring in Rise, of course, analysts here. If I wish to call them regular analysts on the show, of course, we have, Dr. Sunday Isua, who is the head of news editor at Leadership Newspaper. And of course, we have international human rights lawyer, Kola Lakbene. Both of them join us on the show this morning. Gentlemen, thank you, and it's good to see you. Well, you look good. Mr. Kola Lakbene is in his, let's say, Nigerian wears today. Why Sunday has taken Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show. But let's begin now with this day of record and take a look at the biggest story there. That's looking at me here. Rewane, Populace getting uncomfortable. If we could have that, of course, you have that there for you now. Rewane Populace getting uncomfortable with unintended reforms consequences. And if you take a look at some of the riders there, which says that reform fatigue undermining Nigeria's economic performance, and declares rebased GDP numbers of 243 billion US dollars not flattering, when Nigeria's external reserves now 39.99 billion. Well, another headline that says PDP to members, those endorsing Tinubu for 2027 fixed sanction. And I think Rewane seems to be talking about the fact that warning Nigerians, saying that Nigerians are not growing restless, or we are growing restless rather, amid pervasive economic reform. And so such as subsidy, of course, we look at subsidy, look at FX, unification, which of course has resulted in fatigue, putting a kind of pressure on the economy. I think that's what Rewane, the economist, was trying to put across. And if you take a look at what PDP are saying to their members, which says those endorsing Tinubu for 2027 face sanctions, and the National Working Committee is warning the party members, including big names like Nyesom Wike, Adeleke Fauci, will publicly back President Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid to retract or face sanctions, citing internal disunity ahead of November 2025 convention. Of course, the question is, consequences of such action, what does it even hold for PDP? Can they even get their acts together ahead of the 2027 election? Let's start with you, Kola Lakbene, especially with the economy, which talks about the fact that the impact of reforms really is beginning to weigh much on Nigerians, or ordinary Nigerians on the street.
Well, I think ordinary people on the street don't really care about about making sacrifices like the government always says, because if you come to them with open arms and say, hey, we need to tighten our belts, go back to the drawing board. You remember during the Jonathan administration, where the former Minister of the Economy, Professor Nkojo Weala, kept on saying that we needed to save for rainy days. The former CBN governor, now the Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, they were all saying we need to put something aside for the rainy day. Right. And the economic, the shock waves of the economic turmoil in I think it was around 2008, 2010, when you had a global meltdown. And the governors kept on saying, let's share it. Let's share it. Just come to Abuja, they want to share it. Nobody wanted to put something aside. So if you go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we made some mistakes here and we need to correct things, then the government that wants us to tighten our belt is not tightening its belt. People see the profligacy in government, the waste, and you keep telling the populace to tighten and buckle up. I think it's this hypocrisy that the people of this country are not happy with, and that is the major problem here. Right. If you're making sacrifices on behalf of the government, and the government just keeps dipping its hand into the till and spending.
Right.
Then your second story was on Goodluck Jonathan, right?
I actually wanted Sunday to comment on that one, to comment on that particular one, looking at the fact that PDP seems to be telling its members, look, if you continue to engage in anti-party activities, of course, we face sanctions. But the question is, we've not really seen seriousness on the part of, PDP members. Every time we see them engage in anti-party activities, but none of them really get fired. Nyesom Wike is still there. Nobody has been able to suspend him. I mean, he's been threatened many times.
Yeah. The PDP, well, they are trying to see how they can put their house together. But if you remember, in the build-up to the 2023 presidential election, these former governors, like the former governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, we had Makinde, we had Nyesom Wike, and the governor of Enugu State, and few of them in the PDP, they publicly declare their support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and their argument was that it is an agreement in the PDP for power to be shifted to the south, and so they feel that it was unfair, for Buhari to spend 8 years and they will still have a northerner as their presidential candidate. So I see it as one of the reasons why they supported President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the PDP is still undecided on who or the region that should produce their next presidential candidate, and that particular issue is still bringing up some kind of concern, because the same people, because I listened to Otom the other time, he was saying that he will support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
right,
because he is from the south, and it's the same thing with the same governors that make such declaration the other time, and they are still insisting that in 2027 they will support a southern candidate. So it's left for the PDP to declare, okay, we are now producing a southern candidate in 2027. I think that will help the party.
Okay, it looks like Kola wanted to comment earlier on that particular headline.
Well, it was. There had been rumors before. You realized that the last election cycle, this rumor had gone about that President Goodluck Jonathan was consulting and he may come back. I think because of the harshness of the last 8 years of the Buhari administration. And former President Goodluck Jonathan had famously declared that it's when he's no longer in power that people would really appreciate what he has done. So people are nostalgic, and they have a right to feel nostalgic. And if there's going to be any credible southern opposition to the incumbents, then if the PDP gets their act right, they should be able to find a good candidate.
It looks like we have a particular, let's look at, maybe we should bring in at this time, maybe the Punch newspaper, because it seems that that particular story is reflected there. The Punch newspaper, okay, let's take the first one. Screaming headline there: hardship, Nigerian used car market booms as more owners sell off private vehicles. And some of the writers there say Cameroonian, Beninese dealers rush for Nigerian used cars. Dealers blame customs duty for Tokumbo import decline. Looks in like the prices of Tokumbo cars, or the fairly used cars, you may know it, going high. It's too expensive, from around 1.5 or about 2-3 million naira 3 years ago, 2 years ago, to around 11 or 12 million naira now for a Toyota Camry of between 2005 and 2010. So that's, to them, it's quite high. Well, but let's look at other newspaper, what this one says. Fate over 400,000 Nigerians in the U.S. hangs in the balance. That's coming from a Saturday Telegraph. Look at Saturday Telegraph. As Trump orders new census, the birthright citizenship order blocked again. A Foreign Affairs Ministry should evacuate undocumented Nigerians before they are deported to El Salvador or Rwanda. That's coming from the Mother Yusuf there. But new visa regime not punitive. It's to protect the U.S. That's coming from Ambassador Mills, of course, spoke to Arise News yesterday concerning that. Let's quickly bring in leadership, and then, of course, we'll tackle them one after the other. Leadership Weekend says farmers battle to salvage crops from floods, fear poor harvest. And the Guardian now, let's go to the Guardian. E-waste time bomb imminent amid solar energy adoption. Let me bring you on this one particular, especially the issue of, I think that particular story is probably on, yes, still that story, PDP threatening to sanction prominent members for endorsing Tinubu's re-election bid. That's still on the Guardian newspaper there. But let me bring you on this one, particularly the leadership now. Speak to that headline. Farmers battle to salvage crops from floods, fear poor harvest. And that's talking about the fact that, there seems to be, tough time for farmers right now. And that's why we're having the prices of, food items, go up. Could you put that up? Let's see that particular headline, the leadership now. Farmers battle to salvage crops from floods and fear poor harvest. Speak to that.
You see, in the last 2 weeks, the farms have been washed away by floods, starting from Adamawa, you move down to Niger State, Kogi State, and Taraba State, and all that. A lot of states have faced some floodings, some communities being cut off, from other communities, and the flooding is actually ravaging farms. So if the flooding continue, it means that harvest will be very low during the harvest season, and a lot of food may have been lost in the farms and all that. So it's good for this kind of thing, so that the government will know exactly what to do to support these farmers, because we are supposed to be having all-round farming season in Nigeria, because we are blessed with rivers, we are blessed with the sea and all that. So we are blessed with dams. We can construct more dams so that farmers can be able to farm all-round season, because food is very, very important. And we have the population, we have the land mass. There are some countries that don't have the land that Niger State alone have, but they are exporting food to other nations. So okay. So we need to do more. Our farming activities should not be only during the rainy season. It should be all-round farming. And I feel that the government should support the Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture should also support the states, and the state should also support farmers, so that we can have all-round farming season.
Okay, let me bring Kola Rapini on this one. The Punch newspaper, house sheep, Nigerian used car market booms as more owners sell off private vehicles. And the second one, of course, is the fact that 2027 Northern Elite pushing Jonathan to contest, says Kachuku. Of course, you mentioned that earlier about the fact that they probably lobbying. I mean, it was Sunday that made that point, that lobbying for a South-South candidate. Maybe that could, of course, maybe retain the the loyalty of PDP members, who are from the Southwest. But let's hear your thought on this one, Kola.
Well, as soon as the former President Goodluck Jonathan went to Mina to see retired General Babangida, then I started to pay more attention to the news, because it seems anyone who wants to contest in Nigeria traditionally goes to Mina. Babangida has entrenched himself as one of the stakeholders that if you want to be president, you have to pay a visit. Be that as it may, I think that angle of President Goodluck Jonathan coming back might be one that the PDP would want to consider seriously. He seems to be the only person that might be able to unite the party. You know, he had done it before, he had campaigned and won before, and he didn't make it a do-or-die affair, because when he lost graciously and said the blood of no citizen was worth spilling for him to become president. So I think that's a factor that the ruling party will have to contend with. It has a lot of goodwill, even if his tenure as president was shaky, because lots of time he seemed to be like a child wearing the robes of his father, and it was kind of too heavy for him to carry and
Right.
drowned in him. If that wasn't the case, people wouldn't campaign so hard for change and push forward a retired general who had tried so hard to come back for 32 years, and you know, he had been out of power for 32 years. He had contested thrice. So I hope he's learnt his lessons, and we'll see. A week is a long time in politics. 2 weeks ago, nobody was talking about Goodluck Jonathan returning to contest. So it's still a very fluid situation, and 2027 is still a long way to go. So fingers crossed. But that's what I'll say.
I think...
yes, Sunday, go ahead.
Yeah, I think former President Goodluck Jonathan should not, you know, go into this contest, because a lot of people are seeing him as a statesman, and internationally he have been, you know, carrying out some assignments for different countries, and even in Nigeria during the Buhari's administration, he was always representing Nigeria in different capacities, and people see him as someone who have, you know, positioned himself to be a global leader. So coming down to contest again, I feel that will dent his reputation, because a lot of things have changed. And I remember a few months ago, or last year or so, his wife was actually saying that they have no reason to go back to the villa again, because he has done his best, and all he needs to do is to support those who are there in order to bring good democratic dividends to Nigeria. So I feel that it will be a distraction to the Jonathan's family, and the PDP, as he left it before, it is not still the same. We now have Atiku Abubakar in the ADC. We now have Peter Obi. You can't really know where he is now, because his own is that he wants to contest for the 2027, whether it's in ADC or in Labour Party or whatever it is. So I feel that Goodluck Jonathan should just, you know, maintain that patriotism, maintain that level of being an elder statesman.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about this particular headline now. Hardship: Nigerian used car market booms as more owners sell off private vehicles. Looks like the Beniners and, of course, the Cameroonians are looking towards Nigerian used cars now, according to this particular headlines. Looks like the hardship really is perhaps, you know, imparting hardly on some Nigerians who think, okay, if I continue to drive this car, I think I might run into some debt. So how do you comment, Kola?
Well, I'm not sure if boom or booms is the right word for the person that probably right that you have used. Because if you're selling your car because you're in hardship, I don't see how the market is going to boom. The question is, after you sold the car, how do you buy another one? And this is going to be one of the effects of the tariffs being imposed by the United States government, this new government there, because everything is going to spiral. You can see Apple is also buckling under pressure. The president is wielding the big stick against Apple for, you know, continue to manufacture in China and India, etc. So if the Cameroonians and the Beniners are not able to buy direct to Kumbo anymore, then there's trouble in the land, because that is where Benin ports, especially, used to be the saving grace for Nigeria, when our custom just keep jacking up the the import duties there. A lot of people would rather go and buy from Cotonou and drive into Nigeria. So if the Beninois themselves are not able to buy the vehicles anymore, I'm not sure if boom is the right word. It shows that people are buckling under the pressure of these economic reforms and the continuous jacking up of custom duties in Nigeria. Because every time you hear custom says we've achieved our targets or we actually raised more than this one, and that, it's just taxing. There's nothing. We're not doing anything. The ports are not improving. Facilities are not improving. It's just rent seeking. We're just basically just making money off the end user, because the importer is going to pass the cost on to the person who's going to buy. My vehicle, I would love to change it,
right?
You know, but I can't afford to change it now, because who am I going to get 50 million bucks to go and buy another vehicle from?
I think the headline seems to, I mean, maybe this is semantic, probably trying to paint a grim picture of the fact that it's now more cheaper and people try to sell it off because they can no longer maintain it. And so there's now a market for Nigerian used cars, and meaning that more numbers are now, you know, selling, more Nigerians are now selling.
So
yes,
it should be grown. It should be Nigerian used car market groans, not grown.
You know, when the government increased the fuel prices,
yes,
so it made a lot of people who are having 3-4 cars,
yes,
you know, to actually, you know, stop using certain cars. And you know, before the Tinubu's administration came on board, former President Muhammadu Buhari, he actually closed the borders. So, and increase was made on the amount of money you need to clear a car. And so importing used cars to Nigeria, you know, the prices were increased. For you to clear a particular car that they were clearing 300,000 before, it now become like 3 million naira. So in that sense, not much people were bringing cars to Nigeria. So those who were having, you know, used cars within the country and they were not using them, they now sell them out. Like for me, for example, I was driving a Lexus car which was consuming more fuel. So when the fuel prices increase, I have to change to a vehicle that will take less fuel, you know. So just to save money and adapt with the present situation.
Well, if we look at if we look at Abuja now, it seems to be mean that there are more car lots, and you keep wondering who are the people buying these vehicles. Everywhere you turn to, every street corner is now a car lot in Abuja. So well, maybe that's what the rider meant by car market booms. The question is, who are the people who can afford to buy these vehicles? Well,
I think we have to run now and take a look at some other we may not be able to perhaps comment on this one. Saturday Telegraph says that fate of over 400,000 Nigerians in the US hangs in the balance. We hope that Nigerian government will do something about that. Let's quickly run to foreign dailies. Now, Daily Graphic, United in Grief, Nation pays homage to great sons. Of course, I mean, that's the news of the Minister of Finance and, of course, Environment. Who passed in a helicopter crash. May their soul rest in peace. Let's go to Daily Telegraph. The thieves are not scum, police tell shop owner. iWeekend. JD Vance sends warning to UK telling Starmer not to recognize a Palestinian state. Of course, it's a conversation that is ongoing. Daily Express, all keys must be saved in school. Plea in our son's memory, all keys must be saved in school. Let's look at other headline quickly before we wrap up. The Times, top checks up EU trip. I think that's where we need to stop. But let's quickly, I need you to comment on this one. Of course, JD Vance sending warning to UK not to, telling the Prime Minister not to recognize Palestinian state. I mean, this conversation has been on 30 seconds. Nicola, let's have
the UK and the US have what they call a special relationship. And once in a while, this special relationship gets tested when both of them take different point of views. The United Kingdom used to be the colonial power that colonized the United States, and of course they fought a very bitter war of independence, you know, and they've tried to make up and try to be able to see their first cousins.
Right.
The United Kingdom is a sovereign nation, and the United States is a sovereign nation. It will be very interesting to see if both of them take a hardline stance on recognition of Palestine. France is going to do so, and I think one of the countries has also said they were going to do so. How many of these countries are the United States?
Let's have your take quickly, Sunday.
Well, all this is all about interest and what you believe will be of benefits to your country. And so I think they should tread with caution. This kind of discussion is an ongoing discussion, but my interest is for them to see how the world will be a peaceful place and end the war in Gaza and in other places. A
good place to live. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making it up to the program this morning again. All right, for my immediate left, he's Kola Lakbini, is an international human rights lawyer, and of course we have a Sunday Isua, who is the head of news editor at Leadership newspaper. Both of you, gentlemen, thank you for your time on the program. And that's all we have time for here on Daybreak Africa. I am Frank Omalape. It's goodbye from me. Please keep it here on Arise News.